Okay. All right. Okay. Right. Did I put it on Facebook? I think I did. Okay. Ready to rock.
Ready to go?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's start in. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, the Miami Dolphins are on a roll. Wins are starting to stack up. We got one against the New York Jets 2 weeks ago, 26-18 victory. And then on Sunday, the Miami Dolphins pulled off a 16-12 fourth quarter victory against the Indianapolis Colts. Could we be looking at a 3-game winning streak with the Buffalo Bills coming to Sun Life Stadium on Sunday, Dave? That's right.
It's hurting. Just say that. Isn't it, Omar?
Listen, here we are. We're stacking up wins. This team obviously starting to get a little continuity, get a little confidence, starting to believe in themselves. They're getting consistent quarterback play, stable offensive line play.
This franchise can't even lose properly. That's what you're thinking,
Dave,
right, Omar?
the tank is over. And you wrote an interesting column after the game. You basically said that this win, according to Dave Hyde, Sentinel columnist, is going to put pressure on Chris Greer now. It relieves some pressure off Brian Flores,
Well, I don't
and
know.
now adds it to Chris Greer's plate.
Well, Brian Flores did have pressure because we were sitting there, why aren't they doing – nobody wanted them to win too much, but they wanted them to lose capably, right?
We want to see development.
Development. Okay, well, you're seeing development now from guys who, I got to admit, I don't even know who they are, some of them, you know. They're cut by this team, cut by that team.
I don't think most of their teammates know who they are.
But yeah, look, the more they win, the more the pressure shifts to Chris Greer to do as good a job as Brian Flores is doing because, look, it was a layup there for a while. The only question is which quarterback they take with the first pick, right? That's a layup from a GM.
Or second pick, because Cincinnati is.
Okay, one or two, you're going to get.
Yeah.
It's going to play out for you. Now, look, you look at that schedule, they could win 5 games, 6 games, 4 games. I mean, they're not going to be in that finite position, the pole position, and so Chris Greer is going to have to have some ideas, use the draft capital that they've built up, and go find. Because if they come out of this without a quarterback, the year's a failure. And the question is, what do they think of Justin Herbert now?
Not just a quarterback. It's got to be a good quarterback. Got to be a quarterback.
I mean, when I say quarterback, I mean a quarterback for the next 10 years or so.
Definitely. That's something that we'll explore in this week's installment of X's and Omar. We'll also address Colin Kaepernick having to work on Saturday. Brian Flores says the Dolphins will be a contingent that's there in attendance.
Well, they're everywhere. Why would they? Look, if you have a quarterback who's anything, the Dolphins will be there watching him, right? And why wouldn't you be there?
Well, what I find interesting about this workout is that why do it on Saturday when most executives are either at a college game and most coaches are preparing for next week's opponent? Why not do it on Tuesday?
Is that to limit the crowd? What is that? I don't get that either.
I don't get it. What is it? A national televised event? That would be interesting.
It sounds
Let
like
NFL Network televise
the
it.
NFL set it up, right?
Yes.
I mean, the way the tweet read and the stories have come out, which again is a little baffling to me. But and the third thing, from a purely talent standpoint at this point, he's been out of the league 3 years.
Yes.
Anybody at that level of, what they have to do, that level of excellence asked of them, who stops for 3 years, it's really, really hard to come back and be at this point, a starting quarterback in the NFL.
See, but here's the thing. Why is starting quarterback the bar? Why can't he just be a quarterback in this league? I can tell you right now, without ever seeing him take a snap, he's better than Josh Rosen, and I can't even name the other guy on the Dolphins practice squad. we've seen what's happened in the NFL where, David Fales and Kevin and Falk, I forget what his name, Luke Falk, are playing for the New York Jets, and Colin Kaepernick won't get an opportunity. I think the starting point is just letting him back in the door.
The starting point is see where he's at and that's what the workout is about. But yeah, the question, and he's never come out and talked that I've seen.
No.
And so what does he want too?
Yeah, exactly.
Will he be happy as a backup?
I would love to see.
He's a better backup than half the backups probably out there.
I would love to see a series of interviews. I would love to see him address the fact that what do I want? Do I want just an opportunity? Do I want a promise of being a starter? Do I want a $7 million salary? Financially, will I take backup money? These are some of the issues that he needs to address. Will I continue to kneel? Will I continue to do my work? How do I feel about Castro? All of these things.
What do I think about Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Yeah. All of these things have to be addressed, and it'll be interesting to see what comes of it. I'm not really optimistic, but hey, Dave, that's just me. I live in that pessimistic world. Our first question comes from Justin, who wants to know, now what, Dave? Feels like a wasted season, and we're set back yet again. Now what, Dave, after 2 victories?
If you're an optimist, you say you needed a coach and a quarterback. And you're seeing glimmers and signs of what they liked about Brian Flores here, okay? This doesn't mean he's the next Don Shula or Belichick or anything, but let's be honest. If he had lost all these games and there had been questions, why was he playing this defense? And not only lost, look at the opponents they're playing.
Yeah.
That's the real story of this, how bad the rest of the league is. We knew the Dolphins, but so if he had lost all these games, you'd be saying, is he going to last the next year? I mean, that was even being raised already, right? And
to me, and we've said it on the show, and I addressed it, my expectation level for Brian Flores and his coaching staff was very minimal. While I criticized the 3rd and 20, I also applauded it against Pittsburgh because it did what it took to ensure.
It's like you need meds to be a Dolphins fan right now. Half of you's happy, the other half's sad, right?
Yeah, but now here's my situation. Now, coming after that Indianapolis game, a lot of people on Twitter and a lot of Dolphin fans, the aqua and orange glass wearing Dolphin fans, they're like, "Say Brian Flores has done a good job. Say it. Say it. Say it.
Say it, Omar.
You need to say it. You need to say it."
Go ahead.
And I can't say it.
You can't say it.
I can't say it.
Why?
Because there's so many fundamental issues on this team that.
Wait. Let's start here. They do not have one player above average on the roster. One that's playing.
Field.
That's playing.
That's playing,
okay. Right? And
Ryan Fitzpatrick, come on. Okay, he's average.
Wait, he's not even, look at his career. He's not an average.
Devontae Parker?
No, come on. See, that's why you're proving my point. Name one who's above average, and they probably only have a handful of average players.
All right.
Give some credit where it's due, Omar. Say it. Say it, Omar.
Continuity. And
if they get 3 straight, will you give it to them?
Come on, hold on, wait. Let's put this in perspective. They beat a Brian Hoyer-led Colts team without their 2 starting receivers.
And who had the better roster?
The Colts.
Okay,
all right,
and they're
all
at home.
Listen,
Look,
they beat a Jets team that.
Now the larger issue here is, and it's such a weird dynamic around the Dolphins. You have the front office and the owner, who just went to Tuscaloosa to look for the quarterback of the future that they can't get now. Essentially, without saying it, wanting this team to lose. They want this team to have a high draft pick. It was set up that way, and you have the coaches and the players saying, we want to win.
Dave, this is 2011 all over again. And we're going to end up here in the 5-win realm and picking 8th. Yep. And it's just going to be history repeating itself. And we're going to get Ryan Tannehill, the second 2.0. And it's just, that's what's now. Unless the Dolphins figure out a way to trade assets.
Trade up.
They
got all these assets.
And move up and get one of the quarterbacks, Joe Burrow or Tua. I'm not optimistic because I know I cover the Dolphins.
All right, Omar. Cam and S asks, are these 2 wins a result of good coaching and game planning, or just pure dumb luck? I love that question.
I think a lot of it has to do with pure dumb luck because Stephen Parker, Nick Needham, Bobby McCain get 3 interceptions. Your team can't even deliver touchdowns on those.
The team had 2 interceptions for the season coming into the game.
Yeah.
They get 3 in that game.
Yeah, but Brian Hoyer's delivering those passes.
I got
Okay.
it.
Now, props to them and props to, I forget what the kicker's name is.
See, Adam Vinatieri.
Props to, not
Jason
Adam,
Saunders.
Jason Saunders
Right,
for making a 47 and 2 48-yard field
Yeah,
goals.
absolutely.
Because that's no layup. Props to them for stepping up and rising to the occasion. They've rarely done that this season. But isn't that what a good NFL team can do, is supposed to do?
But we never called them a good NFL team, Omar.
Okay,
we
isn't
never
that what
pretending.
But hold on, Dave.
Respectable.
Hold on,
We've never called them respectable.
Okay, yes, you're right. But Dave, you and I both know every team in the NFL is designed to be 7-9. Right. That is how the system in the NFL works from a scheduling standpoint, from a talent acquisition standpoint, from a salary cap standpoint. Everybody's designed to be 7-9. You get a good quarterback, you get above 7-9. You have a bad quarterback, you go below 7-9.
I'm not buying into that with this team, though. This team went to extra measures.
They sabotaged
to guarantee that they would not be 7-9.
Yes.
Or 5-11.
Yes,
or,
they did sabotage themselves.
So
maybe now.
I think it's a mixture, though. The question, dumb luck or coach, I think there's a mixture. And yes, they've been. This season could have fallen apart at 0-4.
Oh, it is
losing by historical measures. Players saying they didn't want to be here or be on the field. It was falling apart. Brian Flores, give him credit for holding it together, and the players.
For not giving up? I don't like that.
No, not giving up. I don't do that.
Yeah.
They're pros.
Yeah.
All right? The bar is not
Most of
giving
these
up.
guys would be home, sitting at home in their couch
for
if they weren't
taking
here.
advantage of an opportunity to play.
Okay,
You're seeing that.
I will accept that.
And the other side, there's some bad football being played by the opponents. Okay, the Jets, Adam Gase, come on now, and the Colts. That was embarrassing for them.
That was some bad football. Guillermo Sandoval wants to know what traits has Brian Flores shown to be considered a good hire.
Well, I think some of the things we've been talking about, holding the season together. Look, the one thing they haven't had at that position since Tony Sparano left was a leader. Okay, a strong personality who can command a room and tell people what we're doing and demand they follow him, and they follow him. And we're at that point with Brian Flores.
You're correct. I think his consistency level, the same guy that we got in training camp or OTAs, is the same guy that we're seeing today heading into game number 10. That is who Brian Flores is, and I can respect that. He reminds me so much of Tony Sparano. He really, truly does from a leadership standpoint. And it's interesting because he was coached by somebody on the Bill Parcells tree. He learned about coaching in terms of Tom O'Brien. He learned about coaching from somebody on the Bill Parcells tree. Who was Tony Sparano part of the Bill, rest in peace, Tony, part of the Bill Parcells tree. And say whatever you want about Bill. I have respect for it. He's a jerk, but he's an accomplished, proven, established jerk. And he knows how to find coaches and mold them, and those coaches know how to find coaches and mold them.
He also pulled off one of the greatest exits ever in August from the Dolphin franchise and collected his money.
Hey,
nobody said a thing.
No. Put some respect on. Listen, put some respect.
Wait.
You can put some respect on Bill Parcells' name because once ownership changed, he could have walked away with all of his money.
He did.
He could have walked away with all of his money that year.
Okay.
That year,
all right.
and he actually stayed and worked for 2 more years before quitting.
All right, whatever. All right, John G. has a good one. How has the coaching staff been able to keep players progressing after such an abysmal start to the season?
I think it's about, I hate talent development. The admission that talent is developing. Mike Gesicki, he's not polished, he's not proven, he's probably not a real legitimate.
He's not real good.
Yeah, he's not a real legitimate NFL tight end, but in his role, and that's what they've done. They've carved out a little role for everybody. Here, do your role well. When you do your role well, more will be put on your plate. Nick Needham, guy coming up from the practice squad, Really? He had 1 week of good,
Undrafted rookie.
undrafted rookie. And
The Patriots had a nice undrafted rookie who helped them 1 year.
yeah. He's showing you signs that, hey, I can be reliable, I can be dependable. Not necessarily good, but I can be counted on.
You need these guys.
Stephen Parker, who produced the interception last week,
Yeah.
that guy disappeared for a month.
Cut by the Rams.
Yes.
Started a little. Never saw
Disappeared,
him.
vanished.
Now he's back.
Now he's back, resurrected
So-
himself. And to this coaching staff's credit, Patrick Graham said it, and he's consistently said it. You practice well that week, you'll play. You'll have a role. You don't practice well that week, you won't play. You won't have a role.
You know what? And being in
Except for Caleb Lodge.
being in that
Sorry.
locker room after the win, I know there's a conflict going on here, tanking, not tanking. But listen to the players. It was pretty interesting when like Stephen Parker saying, this is a dream come true for me.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you have a lot of guys like that
yeah.
on this team. They've been cut by other teams. This is their chance.
Yes.
And if they can
It's
take
a
advantage
whole
of it.
locker room of people who this is their chance. This is their one opportunity. This is their lose yourself moment from Eminem, where they get a shot to prove that they belong.
Nick Needham,
Yeah.
first interception, and he goes, oh, the older players are making fun of me because I spiked the ball. I couldn't find it. They're telling me I should have kept it, but it was, I can't believe it. And he's basically saying, I can't believe I made a play in a big moment of this.
The highlight of his football career, he lost the ball, and that's great. I love.
See,
those.
that's the hard thing. This
Yeah.
whole tanking thing we've been talking about. I don't want to take away those moments from those guys, and that's the conflict that's going on this
But
season.
you know what? In hindsight, Dave, we'll be looking back a decade from now, and we'll be like, just like we were in 2011, was it worth it?
I'm with you. All right, last Saturday, the nation saw an epic showdown from two quarterbacks who likely sit atop the team's draft boards. Tua Tagovailoa and Joe Burrow faced off against each other. LSU walked away the winner, 46-41, and now it's in the driver's seat to play for the national championship and for Burrow to win the Heisman Trophy. What did we learn from the game, Omar? What did we learn?
We learned very little watching it live because we were on a flight that was delayed.
We were both flying on the same flight to India at the time.
And it was just total blackout.
We saw most of the first half.
Yeah, we did. And the second half was the magic, though. The second half was the magic. What I saw was an injured Tua playing well, propping his team up the best that he could, limping off the field. It hurt my heart. It hurt my soul.
Omar,
listen.
you're going for the drama here.
It hurt my soul, Dave. It hurt my soul. Even though I would personally, selfishly like Tua to get injured at some point the rest of the season. Not super injured, just injured enough to enhance this. Oh, he's fragile reputation. So maybe the Dolphins can land him
That
with.
is a good point.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
good.
Everybody needs to bring the heat. So
Look, I remember the Dolphins when a couple drafts ago, and they really liked Baker Mayfield, and they were trying to put out. Everybody keeps comparing him to Drew Brees. Drew Brees beat Andy Roddick in tennis in high school. Baker Mayfield's not an athlete. He's really not that good. Trying to get
this season's kind of showing us he's really not that good.
but that would be like with Tua. Oh, he's fragile. He's fragile.
Yeah.
Drop to six.
Yeah, I've come to terms with the fact that I got to let go of Tua, and I also got to talk Tua down. Got to. Hey, he's okay.
Well, you're not going to have to worry about Tua going first in the draft, I don't think, because we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah.
But Burrow has a rocket, and he's going up, and
yes,
we'll
he
see
is.
how the postseason shakes everything out.
He has got to finish the deal.
Yes.
He can't stumble. He's got to lead his team to the national championship. The Heisman's there for him.
He's got to play well. He's got to play well in all these games.
Yeah,
I mean, Tua didn't lead his team to the national championship last year, Omar.
That's true. That's true. Both are talented quarterbacks. I can't sit here and argue. Burrow, the knocks that people are going to talk about. Burrow's going to be 26 by the time he's a rookie.
That's great. That's great. In today's NFL, you can play till 40. You're getting a mature
That's a very
guy,
good point.
A leader, a guy who's 26.
NFL teams love their quarterbacks to be married.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if he's
now
got a steady.
there's another side of that game that I wrote in my column, and it's been discussed. The Dolphins sent a huge contingent down there. This is at least two scouts, GM Chris Greer And the owner, Steve Ross, went down to the game to inspect what they were hoping,
Yeah.
and probably still hoping,
Yeah.
would be one of their quarterbacks. And that just never happens you never have an owner going to a game to scout or observe more than scout, probably.
Hey, listen, based on what I know about the Minkah Fitzpatrick draft, the best evaluator of quarterbacks is Steve Ross. So Steve Ross wanted Lamar Jackson. Listen, at this point, if you ask me whose opinion on quarterbacks I trust in that building, it would be Steve Ross.
Oh, you just said two names that break my heart.
I know.
Lamar Jackson and Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Next thing I'm going to bring up Russell Wilson.
Oh, don't do it, Omar. Not now. I can't take it.
Yeah,
All
heartbreak,
right.
heartbreak.
How do you think it'll impact this decision in the offseason here for the Dolphins,
Well,
that game and where we are right now?
Right now, the Dolphins sit at number 4, which is dead man zone, because you're not going to get Tua, you're not going to get Burrow, and you're not going to get Chase Young, which means you're going to get the scraps of the draft. And no disrespect to any player that's going to be selected in the draft. Watch a 4th-round pick be the best player in that whole draft class, because that's how drafts work. But you want the proven commodity. You want the guys to build around. And to be truthfully honest with you, this franchise needs somebody to sell.
Yep.
They need somebody to inject hope into this fan's bloodstream, which is what the Dolphins are specialists at. And to me, that means I think they're going to have to trade up, Dave.
Absolutely. If they have a
Yes.
chance to trade up to get one of these guys, absolutely.
If Cincinnati, which I have no doubt in my mind is going to land the number 1 pick, if Cincinnati, because they've already said, hey, we're looking towards the future.
So do the Dolphins.
They're tanking properly, Dave. They're actually
They're just bad.
They're executing the tank
Coaching
quite well.
bad.
Yeah.
Bad roster.
But if Cincinnati ends up with the number 1 pick, let's just hope that they're enamored with Joe Burrow, who is an Ohio guy, enamored with his size, the prototypical size. Zach Taylor, who coached Ryan Tannehill, wants to coach
Omar,
him.
the Dolphins would be delighted with
Yeah.
either Burrow or Tua.
That's true.
Don't
That's
set,
true.
Don't
no,
set
no,
up
no,
as
no, no,
this-
no. You're right. Okay. You're right. The Dolphins will be delighted with either player. Now, what we need to hope is that the Giants
Right.
or Atlanta,
Yes.
or maybe the Jets, even though I think Adam Gates would stab him.
The
Yeah.
scary team for the Dolphins right now is Washington,
Yes.
because they're going to get a new coaching staff who may or may not be enamored with Dwayne Haskins.
Wants to pick their own quarterback.
Yep.
And that's a dangerous spot for
That's
the
who
Miami
you gotta
Dolphins
root
to be
against
in.
right
But
now.
I want to bring up this in history. The Washington Redskins traded 3 first-round picks to move up to number 2 to pick Robert Griffin III. I think that that's the currency it's going to take in this climate. And the question is it worth it?
We know absolutely worth it, and that's what they've, give them the front office some credit here. That's in part why they did all these trades, so they'd have flexibility to move up. Okay, Young Dutchie asks, why do you all keep thinking the number 1 or 2 drafted pick is the best way to go into the draft? Number 1 picks become busts too.
That is true, and we've got a long established history of number 1 picks, Tim Couch and Jamarcus Russell, David Carr, Alex Smith, who isn't a bust, but
He had 35 touchdowns and 5 interceptions for Kansas City his last time. But
Mitch
yeah.
Trubisky is the last number 1 pick, and I was a Mitch Trubisky fan. It hasn't panned out. I think a lot of it has to do with coaching, but you're correct.
He was the 4th pick overall, so he wasn't a
Who was
number
the number
1
1 that year?
I can't remember.
Okay. You're right. The number 1 pick or number 2 pick.
But it comes down to that particular year. And part of the Dolphins' plan this year, they looked at who was coming out. They saw Tua sitting there, and they knew there were 3 or 4 other quarterbacks. One of them might rise up too. So this wasn't done like a blind year. They saw a perfect storm. New coaching staff, year of the quarterbacks, having money,
It was a
not
brilliant
having
plan,
a good
Dave.
team already.
It was a brilliant plan, Dave.
It's never brilliant to tank. Last refuge of stupidity.
You're right.
I mean,
You're
that's
right.
Of a dumb
but
franchise.
damn it, Dave, at least 2 decades of stupidity. Let's admit we're stupid and act accordingly.
All right, Mike has a good one, Omar. Would you be willing to give up all of the 2020 first-round draft picks in order to trade up for Tua Or Burrow. Or become a contender for Burrow or Herbert.
Falls into the same thing that I've been preaching for years on X's and Omar. My number one rule about quarterbacks: don't draft them if you don't love them. If you don't love Herbert, then you move up. If you don't love Fromm, or don't love Love, or don't love this Wake Forest quarterback that everybody keeps telling me, hey, you need to look at the Wake Forest quarterback. You need to look at the Wake Forest quarterback, and I'm getting to it. I just got to get over my heartbreak, Dave. There are now going to...
Omar's taken this past week a little difficult.
It's been hard on me.
We're trying to coach him through it.
It's been hard on me to recover. I'm in a University of Miami hangover, and hopefully I can resume and get back to the wins later. If you love a quarterback, trade 3 first-round picks for him. Who cares? You're telling me that a franchise quarterback that's going to lead your team for 3 years isn't worth Devontae Parker, Charles Harris, and give me a good one.
I was going to say you're picking out the worst picks.
I'm just giving you the recent ones. Who was last? Minkah Fitzpatrick. Well, Minkah Fitzpatrick is the best defensive player in the NFL right now. So yeah, Dave tried to warn us. But yes, I would trade 3. You trading 3 first round?
Absolutely. If we're talking investment right now, and if you think he's that good, you make the trade. Absolutely. I mean, and look, we all know, I'm not breaking any news, the problem with the Dolphins the last 20 years is misreading quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Okay?
Investing in bad quarterbacks.
That's the first question is, can they read properly? That was going to be the magic of this year. They didn't have to read anything. They got Tua, and here they would have Burrow right at the top of the draft. Now they got to read. They got to make good evaluations of risk and reward, of cost, and what they're going to get out of it. So, I mean,
Adam Snow wants to know, who in this year's draft is the Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson, Gardner Minshew?
Well, that's a good point. Let's go back 2 years. There were 4 quarterbacks taken in the top 10, and the best quarterback was taken 31 by Baltimore and Lamar Jackson. So, I mean, again, it comes down to evaluation and what you're going to do. To me, I don't. To answer the question, I don't know right now who would that guy be. Okay, we're you got to get to the full evaluation process from an NFL standpoint.
I would love to see Jalen Hurts continue to win out, play big in the bowl game. Same thing with Justin Herbert. I'm not a Herbert fan, but you know what? If he takes his team to a BCS big game and actually wins it, and then playing for the national championship, maybe wins it. Maybe I can fall in love.
And then you have to get into college systems.
Yes.
And
how well they've
talent
been coached.
around them, and opponents. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into.
Which is why NFL teams miss so often.
Yeah,
I remember the Kirk Cousins, because I was a big fan of Kirk Cousins in that draft, and they took RG3, and they didn't shy away from taking Kirk Cousins in, I believe it was the 4th round.
Yep.
And look who turned out to be the better quarterback of that system. And you kind of saw it in season 1 when Kirk Cousins had to come in there and start, and there wasn't much drop-off. So Jimmy Garoppolo, another example of a young quarterback.
You like Jimmy Garoppolo,
I did love
too.
Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah. It's about not just the talent that you see, but there's also got to be a presence about them. And that's why I really enjoy going to the Senior Bowl, because I get to interact with them, I get to talk to them, I get to know, I get to see whether or not they have a presence to them. Ryan Tannehill, did he have a presence to him?
Never saw it.
Chad Henne, did he have a presence to him? It's so evident and apparent when a guy has a presence, and like Ryan Fitzpatrick, there's presence to him.
Give Tannehill credit now. Give him some credit.
Hey,
Come
man.
on now.
Listen, Tannehill's out there winning.
He is. All right, Steve has a nice question. Will Nick Needham be in the 2020 plans?
At this point, you'd have to think Nick Needham has to be in the 2020 plans.
You can always need quarterbacks.
He's in a better situation than Cordrea Tankersley, a former 3rd-round pick that the Dolphins decided that, hey, we don't need to take you off the PUP. You're not ready. You stay on IR. Nick Needham has been making plays the last 2 weeks.
One rule of being a GM, you never have enough cornerbacks or tackles, offensive tackles. So, why wouldn't he be in the plans?
He's played well. He's been one of the pleasant surprises. I mean, we've got a nice, healthy list of probably about 6 pleasant surprises this season. And to me, that will be the evidence why Brian Flores has done a good job. The Nick Needhams of the world, the Evan Bain of the world, the Mark Walton when he comes back. Now we just got to find some more. That's
what this season's about.
I would say,
and losing.
you know, this season, whether they end up with 4 wins or 5 wins, this team's about 12 legitimate NFL players away from being an actual good team. Of course, a quarterback, but that's half of a starting lineup.
And not even a contending team.
Yeah. We're not even talking about contending team. Just a good team. About 12 players away. So this is the second time around the Miami Dolphins have a chance to dethrone the Buffalo Bills. I am of the opinion, Dave, that the Buffalo Bills have been catfishing people all season, and I am waiting impatiently for that December decline that Buffalo does on an annual basis. Now, the question is, will it come in mid-November? The Dolphins lost 31-21 to the Buffalo Bills up there in Orchard Park. This time it's at home. More than likely, even though a cold front's coming, it's going to be like, 75 degrees, 70 degrees. Brr. Listen, the Bills are 6-3 right now, coming off a 19-16 loss to the Cleveland Browns. They actually got their act together. Good God. Cleveland's a great example of how things can go wrong in one season.
Especially when you invest a lot of money on a lot of talent,
Yeah.
but not building a team.
Absolutely. Any chance that you think the Miami Dolphins can come and keep this winning going and take it to 3 victories, Dave?
Any chance? Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Puncher's chance?
Absolutely. I think there's a chance. And they're playing, and, you know, confidence matters.
Yeah.
Especially on a team like this. So is there a chance? Yes. I'm not picking them to win 3 straight. My imagination is having a difficult time wrapping around that. But I'm not giving too much like you. I'm not sitting here saying, well, Buffalo, look at their record. They're a pretty good team. They are not a good team.
Josh Allen is very talented, but he's very inaccurate. And
you didn't like him coming out of the draft?
No, I did
either,
not like him coming out of the draft. He's completing less than 60% of his passes.
He's been exactly what you said. Strong arm, not a lot of accuracy.
Sometimes he'll make you throws. Sometimes he won't make you throws.
And the way to say, okay, how are the Dolphins not going to have a chance? If they come up against an offense that scores a lot, you know, they're not going to have a chance. Buffalo doesn't score a lot, so they will have a chance.
They're a defensive team. What makes me uncomfortable about this week's matchup is, and what will change my opinion and alter my opinion on my evaluation of Brian Flores, 2 things. Be able to run the ball.
They aren't going to be able to run the ball.
Not against Buffalo. But you got to. They're on pace to have the worst rushing season in NFL history. That has to change. I can't see.
How is that going to change? They traded their 2 running backs that were capable, and now they got
traded, suspended. Yeah,
traded,
Kalen Ballage.
excuse me, traded,
and
suspended.
Kalen Ballage. And we'll address this a little bit later. Kalen Ballage, I think it's in this question. Yeah. Kalen Ballage is the least productive running back in the NFL right now. The least productive running back in the NFL. And he's there. But other than that, stop the run. And the Bills right now are averaging 124 rushing yards per game. They've scored 10 rushing touchdowns. If they do that against Miami,
well, that's would be the game plan, right?
Yeah.
I mean, try to hold on to the ball, wear out a thin Miami defense, and just keep pounding the ball.
See, take advantage of their mistakes and their opportunities. John Flora has our next question. Are the Dolphins now set at linebacker? Andrew Van Ginkel, the rookie draft pick from Wisconsin, who started the season on IR with a foot injury, practices on Wednesday. He's coming back from IR. I believe he will be eligible to play against, I think it's the Bills. I'm not exactly sure.
5th round pick, right?
Yeah,
that's an interesting one because we saw my University of Miami fans saw him make a couple really big plays against the Hurricanes.
Stunts and twist master, baby.
So he could now. Yeah. He fits to me where they want to go with the linebackers. When you look at this group now, compare it to the Patriots group that Flores had. They were bigger. Mm-hmm. They were more athletic. Mm-hmm. And all across the board. I mean, the Dolphins, they do have a couple of good athletes, but I think size, and they want to keep guys on the field if they can play all three downs. So I don't think we're set at linebacker right now.
I like what I've seen from Raekwon McMillan, 55 tackles. Jerome Baker has not exactly matched my expectation level because I expected him to be a little bit more productive. 63 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble. Sam Egwavon, he's the guy who struggled. He was propped up ahead of Raekwon McMillan. Raekwon has unseated him now as a linebacker, playing on every snap. And then Vince Beagle, who the Cranberry Man.
There we go. He's an interesting find this year.
He is the Rob Ninkovich of this team in terms of the jack of all trades who does everything. It'll be interesting to see what role he plays because that was the role that they had in mind for Andrew Van Ginkel. Now it'll be interesting to see if they use Van Ginkel.
2 Wisconsin guys.
Yeah.
Both of them.
That's true.
So, Now, Beagle's a guy who now, you look at his stats, he's got a lot of quarterback hurries, quarterback hits, impact plays.
29 tackles, 2 sacks. Production from a sack standpoint isn't high, and then they're horrendous against the run. 31st in the league all season, sometimes 32nd. They've got to get better against the run. They have to, and there's no excuses for it. Your linebackers are healthy. Your defensive tackles aren't necessarily healthy, but they're there. They're playing in a better rotation. Last week, I think they had a pretty respectable game against the Colts.
There is an excuse. Your defensive ends aren't really very good against the run.
They've been trying to get Avery Moss back. He's practiced for 3 weeks and still can't get cleared to play from that ankle injury. I had honestly hoped that Jonathan Ledbetter, who was the undrafted rookie who actually started the season and produced a sack in the season's first game, I actually hoped that he would be the guy coming back from IR off an ankle injury, and the Dolphins chose Andrew Van Ginkel. So it'll be interesting to see what the big plans for Van Ginkel are.
All right, Roger Dodger has an important question we got to address. Minkah Fitzpatrick had another interception and a fumble he returned for a touchdown in last week's Steelers victory. There's talk of him being the NFL's Defensive Player of the Year. Will that trade be one of the biggest mistakes in Dolphin history?
Well, Dave, I'm going to have to say, yeah, it looks bad. It looks bad and horrible from this standpoint. From day one, the Dolphins were resistant and insisted Minkah was not going to play free safety. This is the second regime that said, hey, Minkah's not going to play free safety. Minkah's going to be this jack of all trades, sort of fill in the Eric Rowe position. Well, if you knew Eric Rowe could fill the position that he's playing right now and playing well, why not have Minkah Fitzpatrick at free safety and Bobby McCain as the nickel cornerback? For, let's say, the 20th pick, because Pittsburgh is turning the season around, partly because of their stingy defense that's producing turnovers.
A young, stingy defense.
Yeah, Minkah's going to be a Pro Bowl player. And you got to live with that. You just got to live with it. No matter what you get back, it's not going to be worth it.
It was staggering to me, and I'm going to be calm here. When they made the trade, I still don't understand it. And everybody's going to say, "Oh, he wasn't happy here." So what?
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah, as you say, Dan Marino demanded a trade.
Dan Marino wanted to be traded, and they told him, "Let's talk about this, but we're not going to trade you." And if that can happen to Dan Marino, come on now. Minkah Fitzpatrick. And he's everything.
Yep.
Not only did they invest in him with that high draft pick, they also, Chris Greer, for one of the few times in his career that we know of, stood and pounded the table and said, I want Minkah Fitzpatrick. He told the owner,
yes,
I'm not going to trade down. And now, because he wanted out, and I really got questions about this whole season. If they don't get the quarterback, they're losing good players.
Yeah.
They've lost good players this year. And we can say, well, they got a draft pick. Good luck finding a player like Minkah Fitzpatrick at number 18 or 20 or 22.
Now if you get you Tua or Burrow.
Okay, there we go. And that's the option. Would you trade, and I would, Minkah and Laramie Tunsil and your number one for a guy who you can pencil in for the next 15 years at quarterback?
Here's an interesting question to you. And this was asked to me by somebody on Twitter. I don't remember who it was, but I thought it was an excellent question that I didn't have an answer to. Would you trade 2 first-round picks and Xavier Howard to move up to get quarterback?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Xavier Howard right now, he can be a great player, or they know what's going on with his ankle. We don't.
His knee, yes.
Excuse me, his knee. Both knees have been operated on, and small, but they've been operated on. Now he's out this season with another knee issue. He's 27 next year. Not that that's old, but absolutely.
He's
I
your
would
best
trade.
asset.
Absolutely.
Would you trade your best asset?
Absolutely. In fact, as I've said, I would have traded Xavier
Yes,
because of the age, not anything else, and the position he plays.
He's worth more than the first-round pick, though.
I would have traded him before Laramie Tunsil and Minkah Fitzpatrick.
He's worth more than the first-round pick. You saw him come back in Pittsburgh, play half a game, and absolutely dominate. How often have you seen a Dolphins player do that?
We all know he's very talented. This isn't about talent, okay? It's just about, to me, where you are, the timeline of when you can be good again. And Xavier Howard will be 30 by that point.
OJ Highway wants to know, and I've been waiting for this question. After another letdown from Kalen Ballage, is it time for us to see Patrick Laird or Myles Gaskin, the two rookies on the roster? I crunched the numbers and did the statistical stats, and it truly, truly, truly did break my heart when I looked at it and discovered that Kalen Ballage has the lowest yards per carry average, 2.1,
you wrote that
of
on
everyone in the
sunsentinel.com.
NFL with more than 10 attempts, and of everybody with 50 attempts. The nearest guy is Le'Veon Bell at 3.1 yards per average.
Here's the hard part for me to sit here and say, I really want to see Patrick Laird or Myles Gaskin. We haven't seen him. We don't see him practice. What do they do? I don't know. So to pound the table, the only argument you have is he can't be any worse. That's it. That's it.
I must admit, I watched Kalen Ballage during training camp, during OTAs, and said, hey, this guy's got a lot of talent. He's big, he's fast, he runs a little bit upright. He could catch the ball, don't know what happened to his hands, and it just hasn't panned out. And it reminds me of the mistake that I made with Charles Harris when everybody was raving about him his rookie year. And then the pads come on. And then there's the vanishing act. Just disappear, and
that's the hard thing about
Yeah.
right now in football era. You're not really watching football for a lot of the time. You're watching, a facsimile. As one of the Dolphin coaches told me, he hated this era. He said, it's like playing tennis without a racket.
The Jerome Baker sack last week was just, that was a moment that showed you where the NFL is going. Jerome Baker's barreling down on Brian Hoyer, full speed ahead. Nobody is stopping him. And he's about to sack the quarterback and realizes, I can't really hit the quarterback. Otherwise, it's going to be another $21,000 fine.
Said, what went through your mind? $21,000 was going through my mind.
Yeah. and that was what he was fined the last time he hit a quarterback. And he just ran into him. He didn't tackle him. He just ran into him. And I'm like, yes, Brian Hoyer went down. But this is what football's coming to.
Well, and you
can't go too low. You can't go too high. How do you hit a quarterback?
There's a lot of lawyers waiting to file lawsuits, Omar. All right, prediction time, Omar. We've teased this. I think at least I have a little where I'm going with this. But where are you at? Dolphins, Bills.
I have a rule about picking the Dolphins against physical teams. Don't do it. Not this Dolphins team. Maybe a Tony Sperano Dolphins team, but not this Dolphins team. And it's not fair to Brian Flores because he inherited a team Joe Philbin inherited, that Joe Philbin gave to Adam Gase, that Adam Gase gave to Brian Flores. They're soft. And if you want to use this as motivation, please do, Godchild and Wilkins. You're a soft team. You can't stop the run. And offensive lineman, Daniel Kilgore, bro, you guys are averaging 64 rushing yards per game. 64. You're on pace for the NFL's worst rushing performance in league history of 16-game season. I'm not going to pick you. Bills 24, Dolphins 21. I'll say it's closer.
Here's the other issue in that is the Bills aren't going to be surprised by the Dolphins'
Yeah.
not talent, but resolve.
Yeah.
Maybe is that
You can't
okay,
like
they
take your
played
foot
'em.
off the gas.
They played them once, you
Yeah.
know, and some of these teams, we saw Dallas in the first half. We've seen other teams. It takes a while for them to realize, oh, we can't just walk through this Sunday as it looked like on film. Okay, the Bills realize that. So the other thing, again, I can't wrap my mind around. This team could win 3 straight games. I mean, that was I picked 0-16. I was wrong there.
They're going to get another one. They're going to get either Cleveland,
at least one.
or the
At least
Jets,
one.
or the Giants, or
Maybe a
make
few
a
of
mistake
them.
of winning against Cincinnati. Yeah, we could be looking at a 1, 2, 3, 4. We could be looking at a 6-10 season.
Are you
Dave.
saying they might not get Justin Herbert?
Oh, the season just gets.
We're trying to have comedy here, right, Omar?
His season just keeps getting better and better. Hopefully, Chris Greer can do his job well. Well, that's X's and Omar. We appreciate you for watching, and everybody who watches the segments when they get posted. X's and Omar airs live on Sun Sentinel pages Wednesday at noon. Dave, see you next Wednesday.
All right, Omar.